So January 22nd, Friday. Okay, you made it. Made it to Friday. Here we go. Let's begin with the starter for the 22nd. Please, again, this is to hold you accountable for the work that was you were expected to complete yesterday. So once again, okay, which of the following statements are true based on the guided notes on page 77 for Egypt? Again, read through those, select all of them that are true. And then the next thing is, which of the following statements are true based on the tacos section on page 77, Egypt? Now, again, we did not go over that yesterday. So this is really going to tell me if you understand how to analyze a political cartoon using the tacos organizer. So go ahead and do that. I give you guys 2 minutes.
Yeah, of course, I'ma breach my flaws. Had to come back from a few things. This is not a new thing. Strapping up the boots with a divvy in a shoestring. I think I can move things with my mind, like my hands and my feet. No magic to produce things. Finding it amusing. We are in control and we think to get the bread, we got a way to get a roll. I ain't with a few things. Writing in the stone in the top, and I only broke the mold when it dropped. I thought you were fake. I was wrong all along. I thought you were fake. My mistake had to make.
All right, let's look at the summary for today again. The summary, this objective is our objective for this mini Arab Spring unit. Okay, to create a flag representing the identity and mission of the Arab Spring. You're not actually making that flag yet. You're not creating it yet. That will begin on Tuesday. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay, our North Carolina Standard Course of Studies to analyze the effects of social, economic, military, and political conflict among nations, regions, and groups. So for us, really, we're looking at political conflict of groups, not necessarily nations, maybe within nations such as Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, and Syria, okay, but not between different nations. Okay, unit is Africa and the Middle East, and discontent creates change. The discontent that these individuals have for their government has inspired or has brought to the surface their desire for change within their systems, within their government, within their countries. Synchronous work is the starter, which you should have done. We're going to begin 78 Libya, which will look identical to the previous two, but focused on the country of Libya, and then the January 2nd ticket out the door, okay, is what we'll do before you can log out of class. Your asynchronous work is to complete page 78. Complete page 78. So let's move on here. Everybody go to page 78 in your digital notebook. I'll give you 30 seconds. Everybody should be on page 78, both in the digital notebook and in Canvas. So your screen, if you want to split in half, should look like this, or you can toggle back and forth between the two. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go over the guided notes here. And I've already given you the guided notes. So what I want you to do is highlight what you think is ultimately most important. Okay, so let's get started with that. Now, if you look, here you go, background. So if you take a look, this started in February this time, not in January, but shortly after. All right, December 17th, we have Mohamed Bouazizi being confronted by the police, setting himself on fire in front of a government building, starting this revolution after he died on January 4th, 2011. Then you have shortly after that, the government in Egypt falling as well because of protests by people, pro-democracy protests. And then now in Libya, you have another leader, Muammar Gaddafi, who was also a dictator, as you see, from 1969 to 2011, was in control of Libya. So once again, you have another authoritarian, autocratic dictator, somebody that has all of the control, and the people seen and being inspired by Tunisia's success at that time, and then Egypt's success at that time, the Libyans thought they could do the same thing. So there's one of the groups that's involved here is the National Transitional Council, which we'll get to that as well. And you see kind of the 2011 to present is just because Libya is still in turmoil, and not like the other countries aren't, because I believe a lot of them still are. But there wasn't as much of a clean break or transition with this event or this portion of the Arab Spring in Libya. So background. So again, they were encouraged by the Tunisian revolution, the citizens, the people of Libya. They were politically oppressed. They could not oppose their leadership. Okay, so as a result, they started a rebellion against Gaddafi's authoritarian regime, his authoritarian control. Okay, the group of people that were in control of Libya. So the people took to the streets in Libya, similar to Tunisia, similar to Egypt, to oust or to get rid of, to demand change within their country. So Gaddafi, he retaliated even more than Egypt did. Tunisia was, I don't know if we could say that was maybe the most peaceful out of all of them. Okay, but here and then, right, we had Egypt, where I believe over 800 people died during the protests. Here, there was a massive pushback from the leadership. So he retaliated with extreme force, and many citizens died, okay, during this. In fact, it led to this civil war between multiple groups of people. Okay, Gaddafi was not going to back down. In fact, the United Nations looked at this and they determined that it was necessary for military intervention to step in to Libya to improve kind of the status of Libya at that time because of the violence that was taking place and the civil war that occurred. So they ended up, the rebels, which when we say the term rebels, those that start the rebellion or those that are against the government. Anytime you hear the word rebels, it kind of has a negative connotation a little bit, but rebels can be positive if they're rebelling against a negative leader or a negative regime. Or they can be negative if the rebels are trying to overthrow a positive regime, okay, or whatever that looks like. But nonetheless, rebels are a group that is against the current leadership. So rebels overthrew and killed Gaddafi. And they ended up finding him, dragging him, I believe, behind a truck, and killed Gaddafi. Okay, the National Transition Council then took over, but the people were still dissatisfied. Then in 2012, the General National Congress replaced the National Transition Council. Okay, and then violence continued in Libya. In 2014, elections were held, and there never was a clear conclusion of a group giving up or conceding the election in a way. So two governments were formed as a result of those elections. You have the GNC, which again, right, is the General National Congress out of Tripoli. And then you also have then a House of Representatives, and eastern Libya. So you have two different governments that were established as a result of the election. And so now you had two groups that both claimed to be like the official government in Libya. And violence continued even after that election. Okay, so that's where we're going to start. And again, we're looking at this time frame of all of these countries in the Arab Spring from about 2011 to 2014. That's what a lot of this is. There's a lot that's occurred from that point to modern day to right now that has changed a lot of this, but our focus is the Arab Spring and this pro-democracy movement at this, again, starting in 2011. So hopefully you've identified some of the key details from those guided notes. Next thing I want you to do is take 3 minutes, please. Okay, no, not 3 minutes. I'm going to give you 8 minutes, okay, to complete the Edpuzzle video. So I want you to go down here to the Edpuzzle video. Okay, watch that. Remember, the score you get on that video is what you get for that assignment. So if you rush, you don't pay attention, you guess on everything, and you get a 0, then that is your grade for that assignment and you just wasted your time. So please take your time on that. I'm not going to play music for the next 8 minutes, okay, because I don't want to distract you. You're going to be listening to the video on your device, okay, but I want you to go ahead and start the 8 minutes now. Okay, so hopefully you are done with that video. And so take a look here. This is the next thing, okay? I want you to complete the tacos organizer for this political cartoon. Now again, the time is not represented here, but you could infer based on today's lesson, based on yesterday's lesson, based on Wednesday's lesson, the time or the year, get a general range of the time that's represented in this political cartoon and put that in there. Now, I really like this one because I think the artist has done a good job communicating what they were trying to say in this political cartoon. So I want to see what you come up with, and I'm going to, and you need to make sure that you complete this during your asynchronous time today as well. So make sure that it was Edpuzzle videos done if you're not done with that. Okay, the tacos organizer should also be done, and you will be held accountable for that tacos organizer on your starter tomorrow. But look through that again, and I just want to review the tacos organizer. Okay, you go through and you just establish what's the time, okay, of that political cartoon. You may have to guess or create an inference. Then you determine what actions are there. Like, what are these people doing? What actions are represented? What is happening? What are the actual actions? Now, again, the actions, you don't go to interpret them yet and what they mean. So what you say is, I have a man spraying flowers. That would be an appropriate action. We're not determining the meaning of that action yet. In the captions, you write down the words that you see on the political cartoon. And then the objects, you kind of list out the things that are in the political cartoon. Objects, you could also include people. Okay, you could also include people. And then the summary, you're trying to compile all of that information together to determine what the artist was trying to communicate through their political cartoon. Okay? All right, so make sure again, those guided notes are done. Edpuzzle, you should be done with that video. It was not a long video today. And then complete the tacos organizer. All right, here's some additional research that you can put here. Because again, the more details you have, the better flag you can create into that. But everybody, please go to the ticket out the door. Take a look here, ticket out the door. I think I did everything right this time. I don't think we have any errors or issues. Okay, we'll take a look. The objective, remember the objective is our objective for this mini unit, not just what our objective for the specific day. Okay, what unit are we studying? Today's statement of inquiry, and then the asynchronous work today. Okay, please submit that. Thank you.